So here recently, we've been previewing several of the position battles that Alabama is going to be having during the course of their spring practices. But today, I wanted to talk about a position battle that I'm really excited to watch and see how it kind of shapes out. A position battle that Nick Saban talked about lightly yesterday, and one that all Alabama fans need to be watching closely. And of course, today we're talking about this offensive line, an offensive line that Eric Wolford had making progressions last year, but we need to see how it comes together this year. Before we can jump into all of this, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe the offensive line will continue making progressions? Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small, but they are massive to content creators such as myself, in both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm, and we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And we have been watching this offensive line for quite some time, and this is a position group that will be so important this year. Bryce Young is no longer there. You have a new offensive coordinator. Jahmyr Gibbs is no longer there. You're going to rely on a power rushing attack, and in order for that to be successful, your offensive line has got to come together. Now, this was an offensive line that was better than the offensive line that was fielded 2 seasons ago. So they have been making progress, and I attribute some of that progress to Coach Eric Wolford, someone who, when Alabama hired him, many of you will remember I was really excited, and the progress we saw last season is a reason as to why. The offensive line he inherited had a lot of holes in it, and he did some good work with that offensive line, but make no mistake about it, the good work must continue. It cannot end where the season left off, especially with the absence of Bryce Young, especially with the absence of Jahmyr Gibbs. And by the way, many of you around this channel will know I'm really high on Alabama's running back room. I actually think it's a little bit underrated. I think Jace McClellan is going to put everybody on notice. Roydell Williams is very talented. Jamarian Miller is going to put college football on notice, and that's only talking about a few of those guys. But at the end of the day, the running backs rely on this offensive line, and it's an offensive line that's been inconsistent. We can see the talent there, but the consistency has got to come together. The good news for Alabama fans is a few points. First and foremost, Eric Wolford is still with the Tide, and I think this is big. Having the offensive line coach consistency, especially in an offseason where you're losing your offensive coordinator, I find that to be a compelling factor, one that should help Alabama out tremendously. And like I said, though there might be a lot more work to do, so far Eric Wolford is showing Alabama fans he has you covered. But speaking of having you covered, so some of you probably know that I'm getting married in the coming months, and because of that, my fiance and I have been looking at any way we can to save money, which is exactly why I'm so excited to be working with today's partner, Mint Mobile. Some of you probably already know about Mint. You see the commercials with Ryan Reynolds, but let me tell you some things you may not know about Mint Mobile. First and foremost, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless coverage for as low as $15 a month. You don't have to worry about sacrificing any coverage, speed, or data because Mint Mobile is built on the nation's largest 5G networks. You get the same great service for less. Seriously, I couldn't believe the service I was getting. I didn't have to worry about dropped calls, I didn't have to worry about lowering speeds, and I was paying a whole lot less. What could be more? Mint makes switching a breeze. You don't even have to leave your house. Seriously, within a few clicks, you could be well on your way to savings. No getting up, no standing around waiting in the store, and this was a big one for me, I didn't have to switch my phone number. With the nation's largest 5G network, I had the same great service, unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot, but was paying a whole lot less. Plus, Mint keeps their customers in mind. They offer several different data plans, and get this, after you've been with Mint for a while, they chart your data usage and will even recommend a plan that may be cheaper if they believe they can save you money. So use the link in my description to get premium wireless starting at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/ATTS. Thank you so much to Mint Mobile, and with that, back to the video. Secondly, it's the talent you have in this offensive line room. And I know that sounds odd considering we're saying that the offensive line has been inconsistent, but the talent is there. Whenever we look at this offensive line, the Crimson Tide could field a massive offensive line, and I truly mean massive. Like, these dudes are going to be huge. But how it all shapes up is going to be a question. Alabama's going to have to replace some guys on that offensive line who head to the NFL, but luckily for them, J.C. Latham is a guy they are very excited about. Tyler Booker came in last year as a true freshman, and we've talked about this, really progressed throughout the season. He is a really big piece to the offensive line this season. As a sophomore, he's a guy Alabama fans need to be really looking forward to because I think his ceiling is really high, and he showed that during the course of that season where he came in, he grew in the fire, which is a really positive thing. If you can do it, if the moment isn't too big for you, and it never was for Tyler Booker, and he's going to be better for that. But you have Tyler Booker, you have J.C. Latham, and a name that didn't get any play last year because of an unfortunate injury, Elijah Pritchett, one of the top offensive linemen in his respective recruiting class, someone Alabama was really excited to get in. He had an arm issue whenever he got there that sidelined him for much of the season. He's back healthy now. He has a greater understanding of what it takes to be successful, and even though an injury kept him on the sideline, he's still been in the room. He's still been absorbing the lessons that Coach Walford has been giving, and he's still with these guys. So I think that is a powerful factor. This is an individual that if he gets his health together, he could come in here and really help shore up part of this offensive line, which is going to be key. Outside of that, you're going to have a battle at center. Darian Dalcourt, Seth McLaughlin. Who ends up winning that battle is going to be key because at the very worst, you have another individual that you can play around with on this offensive line, right? If Seth wins the center battle, you can move around Darian Dalcourt because he has the experience. That's something that's going to be really big for this offensive line. It can allow you to min-max it. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that this is an offensive line that needs to get the consistency together, but this is also an offensive line that has got a really, really high ceiling. When we look top to bottom, the talent is certainly there, and we haven't even gotten to talk about some of the freshmen they brought in. And I know, I have been a lead campaigner on the side of for freshmen, starting on the offensive line can be really difficult. The difference in size, speed, strength, technique required to be successful playing offensive line in college football, it may as well be a different game than being successful playing high school offensive line. I mean, think about it like this. You could be the number one offensive tackle in the nation, and on your senior night in high school, you're going up against me as an edge rusher. I'm all of 6 foot, 185 pounds. However, in college football, you're going up against a dude every single week. A dude who may have been in that strength and conditioning program 4 more years than you. So he has 4 more years of understanding what it takes to be successful on an entirely different level of football. You as a true freshman trot in there, and now you have to block him. You only have 6 months of collegiate strength and conditioning behind you. That guy's got 4 years. Yeah, this is a totally different playing field, which is why I'm never surprised when these freshman offensive linemen may not start off the bat. That is a difficult position to just jump into the fire at, but the guys that do it, you know they're going to be special. But before we get out of here, there is something that I noticed. Whenever Nick Saban was talking, he stated something that has me asking a question. Could Alabama get into the transfer portal and try and find some offensive line depth in the portal? Well, this is something I'm really interested in hearing from all of you, because I can't remember the exact quote, but Saban was saying he loves what they have. They just don't have a ton of bona fide experience in the room, and they could use some depth. Personally, I see this from both ways. From one side, I love the talent that's in the room. I think that this could be a spectacular offensive line. I think it could be one that really surprises a lot of college football fans, and I think it could be the backbone of this offense, especially with Tommy Rees calling the plays. We'll talk about that in a different day. On the flip side, you don't really argue with depth at the offensive line position, right? Like, that's one position where if you're like, hey, I'm going to shore up some things, I'm going to bring in some more guys, that way worst comes to worst, we just have more options. I don't think there's too many coaches in the nation that are averse to that, so this is something we have got to see, and I'm incredibly interested in seeing how all this comes together. But hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about all of this. That's it. See ya.